one of the things that was probably the most exciting thing that I got to work on this year was the universal vote by mail bill, which did start in the Senate and came to us with a lot of really great stuff in it. And one place that I quickly saw that we could strengthen that bill was in the section around ballot curing. And I was able to make really protect what was already in there, because there were a lot of onslaughts coming at it because of this faulty idea of voter fraud. And I was able to really utilize my own life experience as a social worker and particularly working with individuals with disabilities to really show why some of the provisions within that bill were actually really important in a really real and tangible way. And I was also able to just provide statistics and all of the information that proves that universal vote by mail does in fact not increase voter fraud, which we also saw right here in Vermont when we used it really quickly with the COVID pandemic. But within there was a ballot curing provision in the bill that came from the Senate. And to me, it was missing a lot of things that particularly are going to apply to young people and actually leave it open for down the road as technology is involved more and more in what we're doing. And that was to allow for curing by email. So if there's a problem and it's a simple email response, or you have to sign an affidavit and email it back, that could be done by email, which wasn't included in the original bill. In the original bill, the only way you could cure a ballot was to go back to your town clerk's office. Whereas by allowing for the electronic curing of ballots and the electronic tracking of ballots, we actually open the door, for potentially more security in future elections as we look at more electronic means of doing things, but also allowed just the flexibility for so many of us who are young, who are working class. We don't have the time to go to the town clerk's office once, let alone multiple times, to try and make sure that our vote is cast. And so that was a really important piece for me, particularly for people whose voice often isn't heard in those rooms and in those spaces. And I think it's one of the particular reasons that I found this year that it was important that my voice be in that space. So often, sometimes on smaller issues and sometimes on really big issues, I found myself asking questions that everyone else in the room was just blown away by. And in a few instances even said, we never would have thought of that. And I think a large part of that is due to my own life experience, being someone who grew up in a working class home, being someone who works in social work, being able to bring those spaces and those voices into that space, I think was really important. And while electronic ballot curing may seem really small, I actually think it's going to be really important as vote by mail brings more people into voting, and people who maybe have never voted before, and people who are too busy to go to the town clerk's office at all, so they're mailing their ballot in. I think this just opens a wide range of ability for people to take part in the democratic process that, had I not been thinking about, again, just my own experience and my client's experience, I don't know that it would have made it into that bill.